Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to Louise now, our director.
Hello. Thanks everyone for joining us. Really great to see so many people here. And yeah, please do feel free to ask any questions that you might want to ask us about anything to do with the fellowship and the process. And we're here to myth bust, to share as much, transparency, information of process and advice to help you make the strongest proposal possible. So my preamble involves telling you a little bit about Photoworks. So Photoworks, we hopefully you know already, but we are the UK's leading international development organisation for photography. We're focused on championing photography for everyone, and we've been working since 1995. So join us in celebrating our 30th year this year. Our annual publication will focus on the past 30 years and look forward into the future, and that will launch in November. But when we talk about focus on development, we do that through a program of partnership programs, collaborations, including exhibitions, residencies, publications, learning, engagement, and we have our biennial Photoworks Festival, which will take place next year. And we also direct a range of different opportunities. Have a look on the opportunity section on our website. So we have, obviously, we're here to talk about them, Ampersand Photoworks Photography Fellowship, but we also look after and direct the Joe Wood Photography Awards, and we're a registered charity, and we're the only organisation with a national remit for photography in England, supported by the Arts Council National Portfolio. So recent partners, for example, include Historic England, the Italian Cultural Institute, Chennai Photo Biennale, Council for British Archaeology, English Heritage, and the Royal Geographical Society. Our programmes take place all over the country, nationally, internationally, around the world, and our online channels are rich and brimming with copious amounts of information. And we're focused on bringing new experiences to audiences and open to innovative ways to encounter photography. So if you want to know more, visit our website. I'm sure you've been there before, but have a look through the nether regions that you may not have encountered before. Delve deep into the opportunities, have a look through our excellent digital resources. We've got amazing careers advice. We've got the incredible online P Plus magazine, where there's a legacy of articles going back for a fair few years now, and excellent new work coming soon. Become a member, receive our annual publication, and becoming a member also gives you a discount on various different things, including our upcoming portfolio and career surgeries that we just launched online. You can see them in our news and opportunities section on the Photoworks website. If you just go to the front page, you'll find it quite quickly there. So moving on to the Ampersand Photoworks Fellowship. So as I'm sure you realise, it's one of the very few high-profile supported opportunities for UK-based artists. It's open access, it's free to apply, it's focused on mid-career photographers, and it's focused on supporting the creation and exhibiting new work. It's a really amazing opportunity. This is the third edition that we're running. We were grateful to the Arts Council, the Ampersand Foundation, but also Spectrum. That's a key part of the award. The award consists of £15,000 award. That's a contribution to the artist. There's mentoring, there's curatorial support from our incredible team at Photoworks, but also we work with the artists to look at who they would like to talk to externally. That's through the mentoring program as well as the internal mentoring. We have a dedicated public program, digital content, production budget, touring exhibition. It's an amazing opportunity. I'm sure you understand. Very rare, very special. The awardee is supported to create a new body of work. We worked together for over 12 months, plus the touring show, which also has a lot of engagement around it. The idea is that the work will be ready by the end of 2026, so the first exhibition will be around October next year, but Denise will talk through key dates later. The artists will be selected through a free open call. The submissions close on the 15th of September, don't forget that, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We're looking for projects that are already in the development phase that will benefit from financial resources. But my colleagues will go through more of the detail of what the award consists of and how to think about that framework in relation to your application. We've got an amazing panel of curators and artists who will decide the shortlist, and then there'll be a final selection interview before we get down to the final individual. And the jury consists of Denise Ariel, who's our curator at Photoworks, Shweta Mavlian, who's the director of the Photographers Gallery, Felicity Hammond, who's the current Ampersand Photoworks Fellow, Charmaine Toe, who's the senior curator of international art photography at Tate, Flor Suto, who's the director of the Ampersand Foundation. So recent awardees, Felicity Hammond, exhibition is still touring the country. It's recently at the Photographers Gallery and soon to be at Stills Gallery in Scotland, in Edinburgh. So she came up with an incredible project, and we imagine that every project is going to be completely different. So yours does not have to be in the same format. But Felicity came up with the proposal to create 4 variations staged across 4 venues. And that's the 4 venues of the tour. As an evolving exhibition, exploring the relationship between geological mining and data mining and image making and machine learning. And Johnny Pitts was the other, who was the inaugural award recipient. And in 2021, Johnny Pitts, together with poet Roger Robinson, circumnavigated the British coast in order to look for an answer. The resulting project presented in exhibitions and a book as well by HarperCollins that reflects on Black British culture, people, geographies, and exploring the notion of home. So we've got wonderful films diving more deeply into the works of both of these artists. So do have a look at the watch section of our website if you want to know more. But I'll move on to hand over to Denise, who can guide you through who can apply, what we're looking for in a good application, the process, and key dates.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Josie and Louise. Yeah, it's really nice to see some of you here. Basically, it's a really brilliant award. I'm going to start with who can apply and then go into like more of the detail of the application. And we're really aware that the application is limited on words and that you can't get across all of the ideas and all of the wonderful things you want to do with the award. But we'll try as best as possible now to like make clear what the fundamental things are that you should definitely include and not miss writing about. But first, who can apply? Basically, the award is for a mid-career artist. We define mid-career as someone who has 10 years or more of their artistic practice. How you start measuring those 10 years, we don't have a definitive answer for, because obviously people have different lives and some people went to uni, some people didn't go to uni and are self-taught, both totally valid. Some people had to take a break from doing their practice and work in something else. So it's basically a guide. What we're looking for really is someone who has a sense of their practice, a real sense of their practice, and can articulate what the urgency for them is in being a photographic artist, potentially what the themes and research is that they like to delve into, or to what questions they look to answer or ask more questions about in their practice. Just a sort of like knowing of your positioning within the wider field and of your urgency as an artist. Why are you an artist? What is your point of view? So don't get like stuck into the 10-year thing, because that is really just a rough guide. We presume that some of you will have had opportunities to exhibit already and also understand about your practice, not only conceptually and visually, but also in terms of what it means to work to certain deadlines, that you've had experience exhibiting in different spaces and so on. Again, don't let it put you off if you don't feel like you've had like a big break yet, but just we want to understand that you understand how you work within certain deadlines and things like that. That being said, there's no room to write that in the application. So this is more for you to know in your heart when you're applying whether you feel like you're in the right place in your career or not, because we do also have our Jerwood Photoworks Award, which is for early career artists, which is a similar opportunity in terms of it being a year to develop a body of work and a year of a touring exhibition, but for artists in a different stage. So I just wanted to like point that out. I will just mention on this before I go into like what is a good application. I'll just mention that we offer like a variety of different access support methods, and like in the learning that we've done as a team over the last 5 years in particular, we know that like every artist needs a bespoke support package, regardless of whether it's you have like an official diagnosis or disability. Like every person has different challenges in their life, so we haven't stipulated what the access support is, but it's just so that you know that when the person is selected, we will then go through a process of understanding with them, and it will potentially start to happen also in the interview stage of understanding how we can support those people, each person, I guess. If you need support with your application specifically, you can get in touch either with Amin or myself, which is just our first names at photoworks.org.uk, and we can help in different ways, but hopefully also this session will make things a bit clearer. And the last thing to say on who can apply is just that it's you can be a solo artist, you can be a duo, you can be a collective, you could be intending to collaborate with someone from a different medium, but there needs to be one person who is like responsible for the application and who is our person of contact. So just to clarify on that. Okay, so we can go to what are we looking for in a good application? I can't see if there's any questions, but if there is, I think maybe
Not at the moment,
Yeah.
but I'll let you know if anything pops up.
Okay, cool. So what are we looking for in a good application? There are 3 questions, and there is a place to upload visual work. We recommend that because you're applying to this award with a pitch for a body of work that hasn't yet been realized, we recommend that the images that you show are from a past completed body of work, or two completed bodies of work if you want to show 5 of each, or a completed body of work and some visual sketches for the idea that you're proposing. The reason being is that we don't get to see much about you in the application, but it is really brilliant to try and understand how you take a conceptual idea and translate it to visual materials. So that's why seeing a completed body of work from your rich practice is really beneficial to us. We know that when you upload photos, there's a place in Picta to add a project description. That project description, that section, is relating to the work that you're showing as an example rather than to your pitch. So afterwards in the application, there's a question about project overview, like the project that you're pitching. That's a separate thing. The first that I was speaking about, the first textbook, is kind of to give us context to the images that you've shared with us. The name of the project, in what context was that project created, what the theme of it was, like a basic project description, basically. Very good applications can see there's like a clear line between the project that you're giving as an example and the proposal that you're pitching. Although there is a year to develop this body of work, a year isn't loads, as we know. So it's when we say that we're looking for a body of work that is already in the developmental phases, what we mean by that is potentially that you're not starting a full blown research from scratch. You've already done a lot of thinking and reading and searching and collecting about this thing. Potentially it is a second chapter to a body of work that you already have, if that's how your practice works. So that's kind of what we mean. And it's a really good way of showing kind of that bridge in your practice by choosing wisely which body of work you show us as an example of your work. The other very important question in the application is how you envision the body of work to be presented at the end. Of course, we know that this is going to change multiple times, and we really, really want it to change multiple times. So this isn't meant to scare you if you're not the kind of artist that knows in advance how they want it to look. You're not meant to know, and that's also why you've got curatorial support. It is more of a way to get you understanding what the Spectrum support is. So we have a print partner, Spectrum Lab, which is an amazing photographic lab in Brighton, and the award comes with sponsorship from them to make the prints for the exhibition. We've listed on our website all of the services that Spectrum do, but I recommend going onto their website, Spectrum Lab, to just take a look at what is available to them. If what you're envisioning isn't something that can be made with the facilities at Spectrum, that is going to be a problem, and you're not going to be successful in this application. The package comes with Spectrum. So when we ask how you envision it being exhibited, don't worry necessarily about dimensions or, I don't know, spatial curation. It's more just, I want silk screening, and if you want silk screening, then unfortunately Spectrum don't do silk screening, so don't write that in your application. Like, think about what services they have and how those services and those printing techniques can translate your conceptual idea into exhibitable material.
I think, so just jumping in there, just also if you do work with other techniques or installation, or just talk about how you would resolve that in addition to the resources from Spectrum as well. Like if you can screen print yourself, or you can do other things. It's just acknowledging, that how Spectrum would factor in.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that, Louise. That's totally right. It's not like it's also important to say we are looking for like dynamic bodies of work that aren't like photographic only in the most traditional sense. We work with a lot of artists that create soundscapes as well, or like other sort of mediums. So not everything from the body of work needs to be supported by Spectrum, but you need to imagine that a lot of the exhibition budget is through the support of Spectrum. The last question is just about your career. So I think it goes back to what I was saying a bit earlier, like we're looking for someone who does have a sense of their career, but would like, and of their practice, and is using this opportunity to like take the next step. So just tell us a bit about like what you've been up to and where you see yourself going in the next 5 to 10 years, and how this opportunity can support that. Those are the basics. I'm going to stop there because I'm sure there'll be questions. Josie?
We haven't got any questions in the chat yet. So do we want to move on, and then if any pop up in the next section? Oh, here we go. Can we share some AI generated mock-ups of how we envision our work to look like instead of sketches? And that's from Sujata.
Sure. As long as you make it very clear. I wouldn't, if you have, because there's not the biggest number of photos to share. So as long as like you've gotten across your own visual language, then yes, that's okay to use one or two images to show that. And just make sure you say that it's AI generated, because otherwise it might be a bit confusing and seem like you've already completed the work. Is that...
Sorry, could I ask a question by talking and not...
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, first of all, for giving this detailed description of the how we need to write the proposal. I just wanted to ask, because my work is interdisciplinary, the mock-up, and also because there is always an intervention of a South Asian artistic practice, which is not generally known, which would not perhaps be known to the judges. Having an AI mock-up would just sort of help giving a visual idea of what the final outcome would look like with photographs interspersed with the artistic intervention. Doesn't mean that I will make the work on AI.
No, yeah, that's great. That's all good. Yes, you can definitely choose to do that. But again, and this is for everyone else in the room, you don't have to already show visuals from the pitch that you're pitching. The visuals are really for us to get a sense of your practice, and the proposal is your idea. If you think that your proposal, like in Sujata's case, would really benefit from seeing an example of how you intend for it to look, then that's brilliant. Does that answer your question, Sujata?
Yes, thank you so much.
Right. Brilliant.
We have another question from Meg. If we are including sketches of proposed project in the upload section, there are boxes to include text description of each image upload. What are you looking for there? Are you interested in how far this idea is in development? Will that be read? Thank you.
Yeah, so everything that you put on there is read. The jury is very thorough. I would probably use the text boxes of individual images to give further context of the body of work you're showing as an example, or the two bodies of work. And if you're referring to sketches, I would just make very clear in that text box, this is a sketch for the project that I'm proposing, that I'm pitching for this award. It's a bit hard for me to say what other details you would need there, because it really depends on what you're proposing. But as long as it says that is plenty, if it like correlates with the pitch.
We have another question from James. Yeah. I've noticed the option to add a video on Picta. I have a short clip showing one of the works in progress. Is it possible to use this to support my application, or is the video intended only as an alternative way to answer the 3 questions?
It's a really good question. I don't even think we have a definitive answer, because it's never come up, but I really recommend, like, if there's room to upload something, upload it. I can't promise that everyone will watch a video if it's not your actual submission, but it's worth a try.
I think it's also just to join in the past, when others have referred to videos, they would write the link into the text rather than uploading a video directly, so that it's kind of like additional information to see more.
Yeah. That might,
and make sure it's not password protected, or make sure you put the password there, because it's also it's the jury is thorough, but they also have limited time, so it's chasing passwords is not something we enjoy doing very much. So make sure it's all there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, James. We've got another question from Ricky. Am I able to edit my submission if I've already uploaded?
You are. You should be able to. If you have an issue with that, send us an email and we will send you the steps. It's pretty straightforward, but you should be able to, until the 15th at 12, edit your application.
Another question from Kamal. When thinking through envisioning an exhibition or final project, are venues in the UK, or can it be other areas of the world?
The venues are in the UK. I mean, if your projects, if you have relationships with venues in other places, we could have a conversation about that. But the venues for the award are in the UK. Louise, do you want to add anything to that? Oh, you're muted, or we can't hear you. I can't hear you, at least.
Muted, classic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, within the framework of the award, it's a UK related tour. So the international like transportation of work and things like that it's not accounted for, but it's always possible if the opportunity and the additional resources are found. So
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We have another question from James. There is also an option to upload a CV. How valuable is it for the panel to see this, and would including one strengthen my application?
I think that would really strengthen your application, especially because this is a opportunity for a mid-career artist. It's really useful for the jury to see where you've exhibited before, or like what kind of where your practice has taken you, basically. So I would definitely recommend doing that. It doesn't need to be like a formal, like a job CV. It can literally be like a list of, publications, exhibitions, things like that.
Thanks, Denis. Holly is asking if it's possible to get a sense of how many applications have been received over previous years.
Last Ampersand, we had 500 applications, which is obviously a lot for one awarded spot. But yeah, that have been part of the reason that we try to make the application as sort of straightforward as possible for artists, is because we know how much work goes into these applications, and there really is a large number of applicants. And we still really do encourage applying, because the people who, there'll be like the whole team that reviews all the applications, and the long list is reviewed by the jury that Louise mentioned. So like getting your work in front of those people is really valuable, I believe. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Is it possible to propose work for the public realm alongside gallery-based pieces?
What does that mean, like installation, or do you mean public program? I'm not sure who's asking the question.
This is R. Warnock.
That was me. Yeah, I was meaning to things like work onto billboards or bus stops or kind of public spaces, as well as like kind of internal gallery spaces.
Yeah, I mean, Louise, do you want to say a bit about
yeah, we're very happy to have the boundaries pushed. So I think it's if it's the right context to broaden out of the gallery and museum space, then absolutely interested in those ideas, whether it's participatory, whether it's installation, whether it's public realm, performative, etc., etc. So really, this opportunity should afford artists the opportunity to really do something experimental and exciting for themselves in a supported framework that should enable, really extraordinary things to happen. So it's possible, but it's also how the exhibition budget stretches to things that aren't produced by Spectrum, and also where initiatives for other resources as well can be achieved within the time frame too. So it's good to hint towards anything like that. Does that help?
Great.
Another question from Marilene. When answering the first question, project overview, do we need to outline how we will use the 15,000 fund, and also to provide a timetable, re the months we will be developing the project? I'm asking that because due to the word limit, there is not too much room to explain the project, plus add these 2 points. But I do not want to miss providing Ampersand Photoworks information you might consider vital at this stage.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we're not looking for a timeline or a budget at all at this stage. It will come up in the interview stage, but there'll be proper preparation for that for the relevant applicants. you really don't need to spend your words on that stuff. And just to clarify, because we got this question in the email as well, the 15K award that is being referred to on the Photoworks website, that is the fee for the artist. So that's like, I guess, like a version of the salary. It's like your payment as an artist for making a body. That's not the budget for the award. There's on top of the 15K, there is a production budget and an exhibition budget and a touring budget. So just to be clear, at no point no one is going to ask you how you're spending that 15K.
Great, thank you. John has a question. John, do you want to ask it out loud? Maybe not. Maybe we'll come back to you.
Cool.
Thomas has a question. Is the budget for the exhibition fixed? Do I need to take into consideration when writing the proposal? This is kind of a
similar to the other question.
yeah.
So the budget is fixed. I don't believe that it's been advertised because hopefully it's not. That's kind of for us to take care of. Yeah, I think what you should be taking into account when you're writing your proposal is what's feasible. But in a proposal phase, we're really interested in like your imagination and understanding how you work and imagine as an artist and create. So I think don't limit yourself too much at this stage, but obviously I wouldn't like encourage, I don't know, something that's going to take 3 years to produce because like then you've only got 1 year to make it. But yeah, I think focus more on the conceptual and the material rather than on the practical at this stage because it's such few words. So just try and get your idea across for the pitch that you're proposing. Is that helpful?
I think also because curatorial support and mentoring is so much part of the program. So the idea, and also it needs to align with the touring venues when they're when that's available. So it's very much going to be a process of aligning the work with the budget and the space and the ideas, and it's a creation and developmental process. So we wouldn't expect you to know all the details of the budget at this stage.
Yeah.
We have a few more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Are they allowed to propose a new body of work in which the field work will take place outside of the UK?
Allowed, yes. This is like something again that there will be budget limitations. So it depends if the project is being supported by another grant, I don't know, like a DCYP, or if there are other means to travel with. But allowed, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The artist needs to be mostly based in the UK, also just for contact time with the Photoworks team, contact time with the venues that their work will tour to, and reducing the elements of travel spending. But if the work has connections internationally with the content, then that's also really great if it's specific to that body of work. So happy to see ideas coming from that direction as well.
Thanks both. A question from Ali. May I double check? I am to upload some work that I have made. The proposal would therefore be a second chapter. I'm just not sure where I make the distinction.
Okay, I might have. Second chapter is just an option. It depends on your kind of practice. It doesn't need to be a second chapter. But what I mean is that there is you're pitching a body of work that hasn't been made yet. The award would be to make the body of work with the mentorship and the financial support. So when you're uploading images of your work, it will be work that has already been made, a different body of work. When you upload those photos, there's an opportunity to write a description of what that work is. So you can say, example of previous work, this body of work is called ABC, and write a bit about it. Separately, you have the application questions, and there's the first question is an overview about the project that you're pitching. So that is what you intend to make with the award if you are successful. Is that distinction a bit clearer?
That was a thumbs up from Ali.
Yeah, and within that description, you can say, leading on from my previous work, or you can kind of preamble into it with a reference to the past, or you can also talk about it being a new body of work with a new direction, new research.
Yeah, great.
We have another question from Roulard. Apologies if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm a photographer working on a project that works in chapters, like you mentioned earlier. The previous chapters haven't been published or exhibited yet. Would it be better to wait until this is exhibited to apply for funding and support through this fellowship to write the next chapter, or is there a possibility to include the previous chapters in the exhibition?
It's a really interesting question. I think that when we say that we're looking at an example of your work, again, it's to get a sense of you and your practice and how you work as an artist, and how you take something from an idea into a visual thing. I don't think it matters to us if something has or hasn't been exhibited, like something previous from the research, I mean, whether there's room to exhibit it in, if you were to be awarded and exhibit it in, that's something that we'll discuss like during the curatorial and mentorship process. There might be space to show work that's already been made, but the main thing that we will want to show is what you make this year through the award. Louise, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely correct in what you're saying, and but I think it's interesting if that's important to your practice to include some reference or some fragments from previous work to just articulate that somehow and just make the jury aware that it's an ongoing, evolving ecosystem that is integrated.
Thank you. Just a question from Eloise that follows on from that. Following on from the clarification about previous versus new work, please could you re-clarify what it means for the proposed project to be underway, just to make sure they fully understand how developed it should already be. Thanks.
Yeah. So you don't need to have already made an image for it. However, if you've made 5-10 images and you're like at the beginning of producing a body of work, that's good, that's fine. So people work in different ways. Some artists are very start with research first. Some artists start with making first. We want you to have a clear idea of what you want to do so that when you're awarded in October, you can get going, basically, because the year isn't that long. So that's how developed it needs to be, depending on your practice. If you're research based, then we would assume that you would have done the research leading up to proposing this idea of making the body of work. Of course, there's always more research to do and so on, but we will assume that you have that your pitch is, when we say underway, that the proposal comes from practice rather than you've had a whim, you want to make something and it's not been thought through. But I'll let Louise add as well if you have.
Yeah, no, I think you've answered it really well. Yeah, no, I think I've not got anything to add to that. Okay. We've got a couple of questions. There's one from James. Can you see that, Josie?
Yeah, I was just skipping ahead to Eloise because it was a related question. Okay. I'll go back to James and Sujata. I just wanted to see if John wanted to say his question.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I couldn't hear you before.
It's around what we've been talking about the last few questions. I'm a little confused still because you're asking for a project that's already underway, and yet it seems to be that you're asking for a project, an idea of a project, because it takes me years to do a project. So the project I'm thinking of suggesting is already, in a reasonably clear shape, but it's still got a long way to go. And a year is a very short time to actually complete a project from start to finish, which is actually what you seem to be saying. You're saying that you want an idea which can then be completed in a year.
Okay, so let me clarify. That's, I think, what I meant when I said every practice is different. Of course, if you have the kind of practice in which you work on a project for 10 years, then the underway in your case is that you can finish it and exhibit it in a year. So you would need to be 9 years in, if that makes sense, and it would be more than an idea. But some artists work in a different way, and it's more intuitive, or it's more practice based. So it is okay if they haven't been working on it for that long. Let's say that underway means you can complete this body of work, you can realize this pitch in a year and exhibit it in a tour in the following year. Does that clarify a bit?
It does a bit, but as the project is well underway, I've got lots of actual images of the project. Should I show those or not?
Yeah, so if I were you in this specific example, I would use some of the images that you have to show a completed body of work that is wrapped up, so that the judges have a sense of what a completed body of work of yours looks like. So 5 images to that, and then 5 images to the new body of work, as long as you in the text boxes just explain that this is part of what you're pitching.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. If you have any more, like we can re-clarify if that's not clear.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Okay, cool.
Thanks very much. So James has a question about whether there'll be support in person or if it's going to be fully online.
It will be a mix. It will be a mix. Obviously, it depends where the applicant lives. If you live in rural Wales and it's harder to get to you, then we'll make it happen, obviously. But as in, like, maybe a lot of the sessions will be online. Whereas if you're based in Brighton, it might look differently, but that's not meant to put you off wherever you live. That's just to say, obviously, budget permitting, we would love to see you in person as much as possible.
Great, thanks. James said totally understandable. Thanks. Interesting question from Sujata. How universal does the theme of the work need to be? Considering the audiences of the work over several exhibitions will be viewed by diverse groups of people, including children, will the panel accept works addressing gender-based abuse through a conversational aesthetic approach, not confrontational?
Yeah, I think that there isn't limitations to the content as far as, like, yeah. I think that if there is, you will need to think about the venues that the work is going to, and we really like to work collaboratively with all of the galleries that we work with to understand their audiences more and make each exhibition like really relevant to the specific spaces and not to feel like outsiders coming in. If there's anything that is like sensitive in terms of, here you're asking about like if children will be there, galleries have their own structures around dealing with that, like ways of safeguarding. It's not going to turn the panel off, basically. At this point, it's just something that we will have to discuss later down the line.
I think it's also good to consider or just reassure or just be a bit clear in the proposal in terms of the approach to any subjects that might be seen challenging for broader audiences. So and also because the galleries will be at the front line of collaborating with audiences to articulate the work, it's really good to know that the artist is already caring about that, has empathy for that situation, and is thoughtful about potential for public program and in how interpretation might work and how to share those narratives. We care very much about social change agenda and the opportunity to support dialogue. So it's it's great if work can approach challenges. It's not essential, but it's if your work does have that subject matter, then absolutely be conscious of that it will be going into publicly accessible institutions and publicly funded institutions in the UK.
Totally.
Sujata says, makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
sorry, Denise.
No, I totally everything that Louise said, but like because you only have 250 characters, we understand if you're not giving the safeguarding approach in the application, but being aware and being, yeah.
Great. A question from Philippa. If we have started making a few images of the proposed idea, is there an opportunity to share the images, or is it best to keep the proposal concept via text?
Yeah, you can share. I think that's what we were discussing a bit earlier, that like as long as you share a completed body of work, so that the jury can understand a bit more about you as an artist. It's like, I guess that is your CV in this context, or that is like your background. You can definitely use some of the image upload slots to share these images from the proposed idea and make it clear in the text box that they're from the proposed idea. You can call them beginning, I don't want to say beginning because as John mentioned before, in some cases it won't be the beginning, this is the end. Yeah.
Philippa says, great, thank you, kiss kiss. So should we move to the next slide? I think we've covered quite a lot of stuff on it. So that's the selection process and key dates. Do you want to talk through key dates, and then we'll pick up any questions after that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the closing of the open call is the 15th, which is this Monday in a week today at 12 p.m. The artists will be contacted. They're awarded. Oh, wait, sorry, apologies. The interviews. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I have too many tabs open. But the interviews for the award will be on the 10th of October, and the artists will be contacted before the end of October. So the open call part of it will be wrapped up in October, and the first exhibition of the tour is looking to be in October, not totally clarified, but in autumn of 2026. So 11-ish, 12 months to produce the work. I think those are the only dates that are important to get into now. But if anyone has a more specific date question, you can definitely ask.
Roulard is asking about venues. This might be a good time to mention those. So they asked if they need to envision the venues in their proposal. I believe that's not the case. Do you want to provide a bit more info on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So our team is responsible for securing the venues for the tour. However, in the case of Johnny Pitts, for example, who was the first Ampersand awardee, he was doing this road trip around the UK, and he's originally from Sheffield, and it was really very important for him to show this work in his hometown. So that's something that he worked with the team on to find a venue there, and it ended up being in Sheffield Museum. So if there is a specific place that you really envision showing your work in, or in Felicity's case, she really wanted to show one of the exhibitions at Quad in Derby because of the scale of the space, and she really wanted to try and work at a big size. So if there is a specific place, you are welcome to mention it, but it isn't your responsibility in the application to list the venues.
Yeah. But also, if you have an exhibition offer at a location that's on the horizon as well, and ambitions towards that, just yeah. So I think it's just as relevant, really. I think, but you don't need to preempt the application with the venues in mind. No.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes left. Is there any other information, Denise and Louise, that you'd like to share that hasn't been shared already?
Good question. I think we've covered most things.
Yeah, I think I can just say, like, in terms of Louise spoke about Photoworks as an organization. I think that, like, it's not something that you will need to feed in literally into your pitch, but do, like, go onto our website and, like, become a bit familiar with our program and, like, what content we champion, basically, because there isn't a limitation on what the theme of this project needs to be. There isn't, we haven't already decided. We're looking for someone who is talking about I don't know, gender, for example. We haven't made any of those decisions, but I think it would be helpful to understand, I suppose, like, that we're very committed, as Louise was saying, to, like, social change. So there are themes that do keep coming up in relation to diversity and equality. Those things can be looked at in multiple different ways. But yeah, just familiarize yourself with sort of even our mission statement, our ethos, and what we hope that photography can be in the UK, I suppose, and how it can, like, connect between people and audiences and stuff. That's kind of the only thing that I would add.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And through that, it was the Jarwood Photoworks Award that was the early career.
Great. Yeah, I'm just finding it to put into the chat for you. There was a question from Holly about whether there'll be another Ampersand open call next year.
It's a biannual call, and we don't know for sure. We hope so.
Yeah.
It definitely won't be next year, though, is what I'm saying. That if
it won't be next year, and it will be later on in 27 to look out for it. So it's yeah, a while off now, but we'll join our mailing list, become a member, and you'll be on the front line of finding out when it goes live.
Are there any final questions? You're always welcome to email us at info@photoworks.org.uk if you have any niggling questions about the application process. And what's a reminder for the deadline? When's the deadline?
15th of September at 12 p.m.
15th of September. Yeah. So if there are no other questions or comments, we'll leave it there. We have recorded this session, so there'll be a chance to watch back as well.
Sorry, one last question, if it's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Are we allowed to send our applications in at the email address provided, just to get a little feedback on whether we need to improve upon it or add in some aspects, or no?
It's a really good question. I don't think we have capacity for that. We really hope that this session would serve as a way to give a bit more clarity on what we're looking for. Yeah, I can't promise that someone will get back to you within the week with how to improve. We wish that we could do that, but as we were saying before, the volume of applicants is just so big and we're a very small team.
But what we do though is check the applications and make sure if there's any really obvious missing information, we'll flag it with the artist. Like if you mention something within the application that absolutely isn't there and it's got the opportunity for going forward, then we will kind of cross-check. If there's a glitch or something's missing, then we don't discount things just on site. So
True.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll leave it there. Good luck with your applications. And speak soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.